And คุณเทพชัยยอง is now joining me online from home สวัสดีค่ะคุณเทพชัย
Good evening, Kunatha, and good evening, everyone.
Yes, it's another day, คุณเทพชัย that we would like to hear upbeat news. And today we are not disappointed because the new confirmed cases is the lowest, 13. That's the figure for today, คุณเทพชัย
And we hope that the good news will keep coming, right? And today's figure is very encouraging. But of course, as usual, the medical authorities try to caution us not to be too optimistic and not to be too complacent. And in today's press conference, Dr. Thavisin Viswanuyotin, the spokesman of the government center dealing with the problem, insisted that we still not halfway through in the fight against the coronavirus yet. So don't be too overjoyed and let our guard down. And he used the boxing analogy to describe the situation. He said the fight against the virus is like a boxing match. The boxing match usually has 12 rounds, right? And we are only in the fourth round, round 4. Even though the scores we have been keeping are quite encouraging, but we still have 8 more rounds to go. So keep your guard high and then, move forward, keep scoring, and don't be too complacent.
Yes, it's a long fight indeed, especially if we compare that each month it is like each round of boxing. So all the way it's 12th round and we are just at the 4th round of fighting. But so it means that we cannot say that we are the winner right now, and it's the long fight, and again the guard has to be kept at very high level. And today he also mentioned state of emergency, คุณเทพชัย and again he said there is no confirmation that all the all the restrictive measures will be relaxed, and that will have to depend on joint decision by cabinet ministers, in which Prime Minister is the head of Center of COVID-19 Situation Administration. He is at the head of the center, but the whole
สวัสดีนะครับบรรดาสื่อมวลชนและประชาชนที่ติดตามรับฟังข่าวสารในเรื่องการประชุมครม.วันนี้ก็มีหลายเรื่องนะครับที่มีทั้งพิจารณาและเพื่อทราบสิ่งสำคัญที่สุดก็คือเราได้หารือกันเรื่องมาตรการต่างๆที่จะรองรับเรื่องสถานการณ์
Yeah, the 1 month state of emergency will be up or expired early next week. So it's quite a challenge for the government to make a decision on whether or not to extend the state of emergency, which from sources that we have been talking to, is most likely that the state of emergency will be maintained for a little while. But it's some of the stringent measures that have been imposed over the past 1 month that may be relaxed. And as we heard from Kun Prin Salasin, chairman of the Thai Chamber of Commerce last night, a series of proposals have been made by the private sector to the government in as far as whether or not how the measures will be relaxed. Certainly, the government is facing the challenge of having to try to save people's life and try to save economy at the same time. So the information suggestion from the private sector will be one part of the information that the government will use to make a decision during its weekly meeting of the cabinet next Tuesday.
So between now until next Tuesday and until the end of April, it must be quite crucial period because it will be a good indicator whether Thailand will have more cases of infection. So that would mean if we count from Songkran Festival on 13 until 15 of April, in which we presume that perhaps people would be gathering or try to be meeting with one another. If the case of infection have not been increased in the next Tuesday, so probably the government will incline or try to relax some restrictive measures?
The numbers may sound positive, but on the other hand, you still have a lot of people flouting curfews and some of the social distancing directives. And as Dr. Thavisin said today, a large number of people have been caught, have been hanging out during the curfew hours, or even sometimes they still hang out in private residences for parties, for gambling like that. So I mean, when you have gambling, when you have party, it means that you have a lot of people being together in close proximity. So that in a way would certainly doesn't help with the attempts to contain the spread of the virus. So what the authorities are doing now, Kunathan, according to Dr. Thavisin, is that they will try to reduce the number of checkpoints on the street and will concentrate on on-spot checks. So that means we'll see more police patrol in the areas outside the main zones of the city. They will go to alleys, to soils, to next streets where people live, and to find out whether there's people flouting the curfew hours or flouting the social distancing directives or not. Because there have been complaints from neighborhoods that there's still drinkings, parties, make noises in the wee hours of the day during the curfew hours. So please will keep their eyes, the ears very open, and they encourage people to call these hotlines to give them information and tip-offs if they believe that there are people flouting these directives.
So that's part of restriction. And on the other hand, people keep asking whether Thailand has been testing too few or haven't done testing enough. And today, Dr. Thavisin has already explained again that they try to change the tactic or the method of checking by having active case finding. And they have experimented in two main areas in Bangkok, in Klong Tei and in Bang Khen area. And it turned out that it's quite a good move because they have found more infections from those active case finding. So probably from now on, they will try to have this kind of strategy to find people with infection in this active case finding strategy.
Okay, it certainly is true that the more you do testing, the more you will find the potential infections. But Dr. Thavisin has been trying hard to refute doubts or accusations that not enough testing has been done. And that's why the number of new infection cases have been so low. Of course, I mean, as Kunatha mentioned, that medical authorities are confident that the testing they has done so far has been comprehensive enough to represent the proper percentage of the infection cases.
And today we have quite a very enlightening news, make us all happy, Kuntepchai, with the picture
Yes.
of youngest patient who has been recovered from COVID-19, that's just 1 month old baby. And his name is Kin Kin. And if our team can show the photo of the baby boy, Kin Kin, he has been tested 3 times, and finally it's confirmed that he's free from COVID-19, Kuntepchai.
Yeah, and these pictures were posted on the Facebook of Kun Sathit Pitu Techa, the Deputy Health Minister, who has been closely following the developments, the progress of the conditions of the baby. And he described the baby, Kin Kin, as being healthy, cute, of course, and in good natured. And the baby has been well behaved and only cries out when he's hungry for milk. So that's natural for a baby anyway. And of course, the recovery of this young baby has made headlines in many other countries besides Thailand. And I have taken a look at a number of foreign media outlets, and this picture, the picture we have seen on the screen right now, also appear on the main web pages of many media outlets. So that's just a good news, not only for Thai people, but for the whole world as well.
Yes, this brings us hope and joy in fighting COVID-19 indeed. But to look around other countries in the region, Kuntepchai, especially in Singapore, the situation is worsening in terms of number of new cases because it's been 4th day in a row that the number of new infection in Singapore has been more than 1,000 cases each day. And just today alone, the new cases is 1,037 cases. And the restrictive measure in the country has been extended until the 1st of June. That's another circuit breaker announced by Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong to try to fight against this coronavirus infection, especially happen among foreign workers in the country.
And this is what we call part of the second wave of the infections. It's about how the virus returns after authorities in certain countries start to relax some of the stringent social distancing measures out of maybe confidence that things are under control. But all of a sudden, the virus comes back. So this is what we call the second wave, which is being seen in many other countries as well. Malaysia, for example, Indonesia, for example. And of course, this is a situation which has been cited quite often by Thai medical authorities to remind ourselves that a premature lifting or relaxing of social distancing direct measures could be harmful, could backfire, leading to a sudden resurgence of the virus.
And with this second wave of coronavirus pandemic in Singapore, Thai PBS has talked to Thai ambassador in Singapore, Kuntepchai. And in conclusion, we have about Thai foreign workers, Thai who are foreign workers in Singapore, about 20,000. And about 3,000 are manual workers who live in foreign dormitories. And about 60 of them have been tested with positive of COVID-19. And it means that they have been infected with COVID-19. And about 60 of 3,000 are now being treated in hospital. And that being under treatment, under care by Singapore authority, and Thai officials in Singapore have been trying to take care of those people.
And again, this is another reminder for Thailand, which has a large number of migrant workers who tend to stay or live together in cramped residences, houses, or apartments. So this is one area that medical authorities are also most concerned about.
And today we've been told by World Health Organization that it's still a long way to go, Kuntepchai, with battle with coronavirus. So it's the same message with Dr. Tavisin as well. If we compare with 12 rounds of boxing, so it means that at least it will be about a year for us all to live with COVID-19, and we need to find a way to protect ourselves and to live and to have new normal at the same time.
And this is what the director of the World Health Organization had to say yesterday, Kunata.
Yes, he said, make no mistake, we have a long way to go. This virus will be with us for a long time. For a long time, we don't know for how long, but it will be quite long.
Yeah.
So that's the message from World Health Organization director. And Kuntepchai, I heard that you got a very crucial weapon to fight against COVID-19.
That's right. Yeah. As we all know that we have been hearing about a shortage of face masks, right? And the government has taken steps after understanding the situation, has taken steps to ensure that masks will be made available to all Thais. So the past 1 week has seen the distribution of face masks manufactured by the government to be given out to everyone of the living in Thailand. So, and this is what I received today. It's a cloth face mask sent by mail to my home. It says with the courtesy of the industry ministry.
Yes.
It's a washable face mask and can be used multiple times. And it comes in envelope like this. So don't be surprised if tomorrow you get one like this in your mailbox. It's part of the 10 million face masks orders manufactured by the industry ministry to be given out to every household country. So every member of each household in the country will receive one mask like this. Depends on how many members are registered in your household registration.
So lucky you, Kuntepchai. I still haven't got it. So I still have to wait for face mask to arrive my home. And referring to what the director of World Health Organization has told us, that it's a long way to go to fight coronavirus. So let's take a listen to what he has to say.
Globally, almost 2.5 million cases of COVID-19 have now been reported to WHO, and more than 160,000 deaths. We see different trends in different regions, and even within regions. Most of the epidemics in Western Europe appear to be stable or declining. Although numbers are low, we see worrying upward trends in Africa, Central and South America, and Eastern Europe. Most countries are still in the early stages of their epidemics. And some that were affected early in the pandemic are now starting to see a resurgence in cases. Make no mistake, we have a long way to go. This virus will be with us for a long time. There is no question that stay-at-home orders and other physical distancing measures have successfully suppressed transmission in many countries. But this virus remains extremely dangerous. Early evidence suggests most of the world's population remains susceptible. That means epidemics can easily reignite.
So that's what's the message, very important one from World Health Organization Director, as right now, at this juncture, we can see how many countries are considering whether to ease the lockdown. That's why perhaps he has to come out to say that it's still a long way to go. And right now, we would like to see what's the situation in Canada. And right now, we have Kun Steve Waterhouse, cybersecurity expert, joining us from Canada. Good evening from Thailand.
Good morning from Canada, Nathan.
Thank you very much for joining us, Kun Steve. So how are things going in Montreal, where you are right now?
It is pretty much the same as you guys. I mean, people are confined for the now almost 7-week period since March 13th. And people are, of course, responding to the government's advices and all of the healthcare professionals that are recommending everybody to distantiate from one another, to stay at home as much as possible. The word is out. People are just eager to go out, as we just came out of the winter period. And now spring and the warmer weather is showing itself. And still, people are allowed to go outside, obviously, but cannot enjoy the full measures of going just to the park, as most public venues are closed, and will not permit gatherings for more than 2 people at a time, as you probably have the same rules.
Yeah. What about the economic activities? Are they still being limited?
Economical activities are slowed down. A lot of entrepreneurs are reconsidering how they do business. As an example, restaurants are now offering more takeout possibilities, so people can order and go at a very few number to the restaurant, pick up their orders, go back home and eat there. But in-restaurant eating is forbidden. And there's a lot of local merchants, local restaurants that are having a lot of problems with the rents, of course, because there's no revenues. And for that reason, there's a lot of government grants going out, but will not be able to get to every entrepreneurs that are out there. And like that, people are also from home ordering more and more online, which of course diverts the economy to those big conglomerates that permits at-home deliveries.
I see. When the Prime Minister was asked yesterday when he expects the restrictions to be loosened, he said it won't be weeks before this can be done. So are you prepared? I mean, Canadians been prepared to stay shelter in this manner for a long haul?
Yes, we are. Yes, the country is ready for that. But what is most anticipated, as just you mentioned a few moments ago, the second wave is very much what we fear most. As people will start being a little bit more loose, will be maybe a little bit less disciplined. And this is what is coming up in the next few weeks. So by summertime, around June or July, experts have been voicing out their concern of everybody just moving out of the houses and in a more social gathering mode. If that happens, and because of the low level of testing we have been able to, the health services have been able to procure, we don't have an exact picture of what is going on. And there's a big debate here also how to account for the deaths that are been happening. Are the governments at the various level accounting for the deaths that occurred only in hospitals, that occurred in retirement homes, that occurred everywhere, in fact? So that's why you have, for the province of Quebec, high figures as they account for all deaths all around, as other provinces and countries just simply account for the deaths that happen in hospitals.
Steve, what have concerned you the most? You are in Montreal, and as far as I know, it's the region with the highest number of infection. So,
yes,
what's your concern over there?
Well, the biggest concern is, for everyone here, it was a big surprise to understand the provincial governments working with retirement homes projects have not been up to what was expected and publicized. What I mean by that is there's a lot of retirement homes around Montreal and inside Montreal, of course, and the civil servants have been screaming out for a lot of times, a lot of years, that they were underfunded, understaffed. And now, because of the crisis, these retirement homes have become a very large infection zones, let's call them like that. And for that reason, the Prime Minister of Quebec yesterday asked for the Army support to have 1,000 troops coming in and just to do basic humanitarian aid to help people to get a better way of life inside of these retirement homes, as the healthcare workers are not able to sustain the high tempo that is demanded in this time of crisis, because they have to, of course, consider that you have people that are infected, those that are not infected, separating both the zones as the crisis progresses. And of course, there's no lack of basic necessities for food and water so far, but there's been a lack of personal protection equipment, as you might also have on your side. And the federal government is working hard to get those to the people, but there's a distribution also crisis in that sense. So they make the most out of what they have and getting more and more equipment as there is a worldwide demand. So that puts a lot of pressure on the supply system.
Steve, I assume that most people, if not all, are supposed to be working from home at the moment in Canada, right?
Yes, it is the case, and it was a welcome measure for a lot of employers and, of course, employees. I mean, staying at home, keeping them focused to what they can perform as much work they can do. Put some constraints, though, on the telecommunication network. So most of the providers were caught off guard, and, of course, a lot of people like me were just I'm not surprised, because I work a lot with the infrastructure, and I knew for a fact that the decentralization of the workforce from city centers to suburbs was taxing the telecom network. So they have adapted in a few weeks into the crisis, and now they have a stable network of making people work from home, be able to do these kind of video conferencing with not too much lag, not too much loss of quality. So they've adjusted. Of course, we got the different platform also problems like Zoom, which has now enhanced their security posture as of yesterday. Well, coming into the version 5 of this software that will reduce the likelihood of compromission of sensitive information because the security has been enhanced. So that said, a lot of companies rediscovered the way to work from home, rediscovered what tools is necessary, and is adjusting. And I think for a fact that in the coming months and years, this will be a lesson to learn and apply, that it's not everybody that needs to go down in the center core to work from there. They can do it easily at home, thus reducing the traffic flow inside city centers.
Steve, you are cyber security expert, and so far we can see how people have turned to online activity and try to work and having more activities over there. What's the unusual aspect have you found so far, and what's the opportunity you see in the future with more online activity, especially in cyber?
Well, the basic cyber hygiene has to be prevailing at all points. I mean, more than ever, there's a lot of criminal activity, as you might have noticed also on your end, that you have cyber criminals wanting to have access to more and more, not just information, but money. Really, that here we benefit from a lot of grants that the government is pouring down on us, the citizens, while other places in the world, they have to work it off. They have to survive. And for that reason, they just reignite some of the old tools of cybercrime, and then are flooding with phishing email everybody else. So this is a great time for, and then this is what is keeping me busy a lot of my time, is to do some awareness, and that awareness brings into education and educating people on how to use the computer in a productive way, especially using online tools. And from that point, I believe we'll have a more awakened workforce to work with technology as time progresses, because they will have the time to put their hands and minds onto it. But especially in the educational world, now the students and the teachers have a new way to communicate to each other. A new dynamic is arising from this situation that permits them to have a more personal touch communication. So the teacher phones up or emails the students at home, and it brings them that closeness that they didn't have necessarily time to have in class while in physical contact. But it doesn't bring out that having less personal contact, and I'm one of them, having to teach in a class that I see my students in front of me, I'm pretty much like better doing this than over a virtual mean, because the human contact is not the same, the feedback is not the same, and it is very important to keep that visual contact much present.
Steve, I understand that one of your major concerns is that the sudden increase in the use of teleworking by bureaucrats and government officials is making the government more vulnerable to cyber threats more than ever, right? Can you talk more about that?
Well, yes, certainly, because as civil servants are just scattered all around where they live, let's put it that way, it could be around 30-kilometer radius, but geography is not of a concern with technology. And so when you have civil servants working from home, they basically have to have either a computer given by the government. If not, as it is right now for many civil servants at whatever level, they're using their home computers. And for that reason, there's not too much security that has been verified upon the computer at home, meaning some employers will give an antivirus that's given to the enterprise. Others would just say to the employee, just go to that website. We have a secure portal, connect to it, and we should be fine. And you heard my words, should be fine. So that's the reason where the IT teams to verify and certify systems have a heavy workload, making sure to what they control of resources, they can secure the communication. But that said, if you have let's say a civil servant, the federal level that has to work with sensitive material in the physical environment back in the office space, the office space is secure for that manipulation of information. That processing also happening on the computers is also deemed certified as efficient and secure. Now, back home, of course, it's only family members going all around them, but they have to have their own workspace. And that's, for a small apartment, sometimes very difficult to get, and especially to ensure they have the proper secure means to communicate sensitive information. As an example, it is tax season. Of course, the tax limit date has been extended, but it's still that if you have a civil servant processing tax returns, they have to work with sensitive information. Now, if it is not done with the proper secure means, they could compromise the personal information from the citizen, and then they could initiate other problems that we don't have time to tackle on. So that's the reason they have to adhere to secure means that are appropriate and especially vouched by the government security employees that will make sure that the data and especially the privacy of every citizen is kept and ensured.
Right. In fact, not only the civil servants, but everybody should watch out during this crisis.
Well, of course, because as an example, when at the start of the month of April, you had the Zoom platform that was tested by University of Toronto's Citizen Lab that was deemed unsecure and surprisingly was seen having traffic being diverted through China. It arose. It woke up everybody in the security community to the fact that you had a secure platform. You had a platform that was not secure. Easy to use though. Everybody adopted overnight this platform, which is great. But now it took a few weeks to make this company just spin around and include what was publicized back then as a secure platform. And it's not an overnight problem that came like that. I mean, the Zoom platform has been seen over the years as an unsecure mean to exchange. And now in a crisis, you have to have access to something to communicate. So that was one easy way to go. But other than that, you have other platforms that were already in the market to work efficiently and securely that were not as considered as easy. Of course, when you do the test, you realize that these platforms do not provide as much maybe functionalities or ease of use as Zoom would provide. So that, in a sense, has been a big step forward for this company. But also, it should be the fact that for every company that has to work with privacy, when it has to work with intellectual property, they have to double check by which means this information will flow around. And if it's not the guaranteed end-to-end communication, then the ideas, the strategies, the privacy of information can be compromised with just a few clicks.
Yeah. Steve, you must have heard of 5G conspiracy theory. What do you think of it? And why is that? Why do people have so much imagination about COVID-19 and link it with 5G?
Well, in this crisis, I mean, people have been going around, and of course, that's the beauty of the internet. There's a lot of information to access. What's the downside of it is, of course, there's a lack of official words for some of these subjects. Now, 5G has been around as an idea of implementation across the world, once again, to be the next generation of cellular development. Now, there's a lot of those conspiracy theories, Nathan, I believe you would be saying, would be that people are advocating that the 5G towers are enabling the virus as the towers goes up and under operation, which is totally false in many sense, has been proven scientifically. And we haven't seen much of these situations in Canada with people just putting these towers on fire as we saw elsewhere in the world. But that said, it is not impossible that people will turn to they want to have something to be physically to be accountable for what's going on. And for some have their imagination go to the extent of saying, yep, this is one reason why, since these towers came along, that we're having these problems coming all around the place. Fortunately for us, there's not too much of the 5G that has been deployed so far, so it's not a capital reason why 5G has been spreading around.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Steve, to be joining us from Canada, from Montreal, and stay safe during this time.
Same to you. Thank you very much for the invitation. Okay. Cheers.
Stay healthy. Right.
Thank you. And during this COVID-19 situation, we can see how animals can find their place. They do not like to stay put where they are. And right now we can see them in many areas, especially in urban areas. So let's take a look at this story.
The coronavirus pandemic has been good news for much of the world's wildlife. With people staying at home and traveling less, animals have been spotted in unusual places and air pollution has dropped in some areas. In the Welsh town of Llandudno, the goats are ruling the roads. Lockdown measures put in place by authorities have largely cleared the streets of human and traffic, and so nature flourishes instead. A wild puma prowls through Santiago in Chile. A coyote stalks the viewing area for San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge, a place that is normally packed with tourists. With less human interference and light pollution, sea turtles across the world are daring to lay their eggs on beaches they once avoided. It's making scientists hopeful that their breeding season will be a wild success for their endangered creatures.
It is giving a unique insight into the impacts that we humans have upon the environment in many ways. We are beginning to see wildlife that we had not expected to be there. We are seeing clear skies. We're seeing views of mountains that only our grandparents told us about. We're seeing a reduction of pollution. It is giving us this quite extraordinary insight into just how much of a mess we humans are making of our beautiful planet.
As well as air quality across the world, nitrogen dioxide pollution in the US Northeast is down 30%. Rome's air pollution levels are down more than half from a year ago.
One of the problems that we have is this sort of creeping progression of environmental degradation. It gets worse and we get worse. And this is giving us opportunity to magically see how much better it could be. And I hope we'll learn the lessons from that. It won't be easy, but it will tell us what we could achieve if we really put our minds to it.
Researchers say they are eager to explore changes in weeds, insects, rain patterns, noise and light pollution, clouds, and even the daily hot and cold temperature spikes. The most obvious change is in the cleaner air.
Kuntepchai, with the role of young people to fight against coronavirus in Thailand, it's been told that a group of people 20 to 29 years old are highly infected or highly risk group. But what happened to young people around the world and what they have been doing to protect themselves or even protect others? Right now, Khun Nat Bunnak is joining us.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
So what's the story about young people around the world, what they have been doing in this coronavirus?
So what they've been doing right now is that young people learn to protect themselves, and that really suggests that young people are more aware of what is going on. So we can say that the pandemic has had an impact towards young people in the way they perceive the situation. So there is a recent study in the UK saying that around 50% of the people in the UK aged around 18 to 35 practice voluntary social distancing even before it became compulsory in the UK, whereas people aged 70 and above don't really practice that yet.
So it's another side of the story, because in Thailand, we've been told that young people tend to be people who spread the risk of infection. But in the UK, it turned out that they voluntarily to protect themselves and others.
Yes, because previously many people think that it's only the older people that have to be more cautious about the virus. But now that sort of perspective kind of changed because young people can still be at risk of spreading the disease no matter if they're showing symptoms or not. So young people in the UK are more aware of this issue. So they are now protecting themselves by following social distancing measures, even before it became compulsory.
So that's quite a good story. And what are morals that UK society perhaps would like to encourage them to do more?
Whether to do more or not, I think it's not just only the social distancing, but I think more of the experts actually said that young people should be more aware that even though they do not have the symptoms, they're not feeling the symptoms, whether it's coughing or feeling ill, they still have the risk of spreading the virus. Because what the experts have been saying is that not only the young people or the children or even older people are at risk of spreading the virus, but what is more concerning is that people who do not show the symptoms or not feeling the symptoms are more at risk of spreading the virus amongst others, because once we do not realize that we have the virus, we might just go out and bump into other people, and we might happen to spread the virus without even knowing that you have the virus yourself.
So that's the concern of people who do not show symptoms. So what's the advice for people who don't show any symptom?
I would say the main advice here is, I think the problem here right now is like the testing, because the testing is more on the people who have the symptoms, not really people who do not have the symptoms. So I think the advice there is they need to put in mass testing, whether which country you're in, because mass testing will actually help us figure out what is going on here. So I think it will also give them more of a better picture of what is going on, whether it's not just the people who have the symptoms that will get COVID-19, but people who do not show symptoms can be at risk of having COVID-19 as well.
So Kun Thepchai, everyone has the role to play in the fight against coronavirus pandemic. Young or older people, or even very like baby generation, we all have to be careful and we all have to play the role in this fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that the level of awareness among people in any societies, whether they are young or old, depends a lot on how the governments, the authorities communicate with them to help them understand the severity of the situation at hand. In Thailand, I think the medical authorities have been quite effective in communicating with the people on this issue. So that's why in Thailand you see a lot of people wearing masks, right? Go out, you hardly see people without masks. So that is the way I think that it tells a lot about the effectiveness of the communication that medical authorities have had with the public.
Unlike Western countries, that people are still a bit reluctant in wearing masks. But besides this issue, the experts have been suspecting that there's going to be a large group of young people or even children that have a high risk of spreading the virus. But however, there hasn't really been a clear picture on this one, because the experts have not seen the actual numbers of children or young people getting tested, especially with those who do not show symptoms. And they're also saying that we don't really know yet whether it's the children, the younger people, or the older people who are passing on the virus the most. So this question is still under debate there. So we cannot judge that, it's only the older people who are spreading the virus, or it could be the children spreading the virus, because everyone is at risk here during this pandemic.
You're right.
We have been told that second wave of coronavirus might be coming, so we had better take good care of everyone around us as well. Thank you very much, Kun Nat, for joining us and for your story about young people.
Thank you.
Thank you. Another aspect of problems that are happening right now in relation to COVID-19 crisis is about homeless group, especially a group of homeless in Bangkok. They have been facing difficult situation enough, but right now the situation is worsening for them. So let's take a look to the story.
On the streets in Bangkok, we usually see homeless migrants, children and youth. Some of them are beggars, and some sell goods to tourists for living. Before the coronavirus pandemic, the streets in Bangkok are full of tourists, but now those are almost empty. A researcher from Mahidol University said that in this area of Bangkok, there were homeless migrants children, about 30 people, begging or selling goods until night time.
เห็นแล้วว่าเขาจะอยู่บริเวณตรงจุดรถไฟฟ้าเพราะว่ามันเป็นทางขึ้นลงแล้วก็ทางคนเดินผ่านเยอะนักท่องเที่ยวก็จะเยอะตอนก่อนโควิด
She said they used to stay around BTS areas where people and tourists walk past by. At a homeless children and youth home, today there are only 3 people, whereas there were a lot of homeless children came for food. And one of the reasons is an absence of volunteers during the coronavirus pandemic. Due to closure of caring home and lack of tourists, homeless children and youth are facing hardship. In Thailand, there are about 50,000 homeless children. 30,000 are locals and another 20,000 are migrants. A social worker points out that if we leave this problem for a while and do not provide a good strategy to support them, it will lead to long-term social problems in the future.
And with COVID-19 situation, around the world have been talking about opportunity as well, Kun Thepchai, especially post-COVID-19, will be the world of digital strategy, more online work. So what the world we are going to see, right now we have Kun Jirayut Srupsrisopa, co-founder and CEO of bitcup.com joining us. Good evening, Kun Jirayut.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the program.
Yes. So as I have introduced, are you seeing more opportunities for digital work, digital world after COVID-19 or even now?
Sure. So let me give you a quick picture of this current situation. Right now, if you look at the numbers, we are undergoing the largest unemployment rate in the history of the world. The last highest unemployment rate was 100 years ago during the Great Depression in 1929. Back then, about 3% of the world's population lost their job. And then the year after, in 1930, we went to 6%, right? And about 2 weeks ago, I think 3% of the world's people lost their job already. And last week, 3% went to 10%. And in the last generation, it took us one year to go from 3% to 6%. In this generation, it took us only 1 week. But I would like to tell the audience today that this crisis is different from the Great Depression or back in 2008. If you look at the Great Depression, that was, the recession might come from the shift in consumer behavior from wartime production to consumer production. But if you look at 2008, that was when banks took excessive risk and all of a sudden Lehman Brothers went down, and a bunch of people lost their jobs, and that company doesn't exist anymore. People don't go back to the same job that they had. But this crisis is different. We have 30 million people. I think 22 million Americans lost their job in the last 4 weeks. But this crisis is different because these people are working in bars, restaurants, and these companies didn't do anything wrong. They might be a very profitable company, but the reason why they are these people getting laid off is because of the shutdown, right? So this is a short-term thing. It's not like the company is no longer there and people cannot get recalled and go back to their work after we fix the biological problem. What I'm trying to tell you here is that currently this is not a economic structural problem like 2008. That's when banks took excessive risk. This is a health crisis followed by a shutdown. And if we get the policies right, these companies will survive, right? The jobs are not permanently displaced. People can go back to where they were working before. But it is very important that we need to deploy the funds quickly from the government, because in the next few months, I think most of the SMEs will run out of cash, and SMEs and small businesses account for majority of our economy, majority of our employment. It was very hard for companies back then it was very easy for government to bail out banks in 2008 because they can call 25 CEOs into one room and hand them checks. But this time, the government needs to bail out companies, small companies and people. It is very hard to get everyone in one room, and without the technological infrastructure, you can see that it is very hard for Thailand to deploy funds effectively. Some people that should deserve the money, that 5,000 baht that they should receive, are complaining that they didn't receive the fund. Some people that didn't really deserve the funds get the money. And the only way the government can bail out SMEs now is to provide loans through commercial banks. But banks cannot deploy these funds within a few weeks because they have to do due diligence in companies. So they must accept this margin of error because we haven't got the technology ready. But with the arrival of digital currencies, governments can deploy funds effectively to bail out people and to bail out majority of the companies. Unlike back in 2008, handling checks to 25 CEOs to bail out banks is easy. But with the cryptocurrency, the government can, sign the stimulus package. I think $2 trillion was signed at the end of March, and 350 billion is being deployed to help SMEs. But that's not enough. We have to deploy them effectively. With the use of Libra or digital currencies, government can, deploy funds directly to those really in need, and to filter out those that can stay put, to make sure that SMEs have a runway long enough for us to address these biological or health issues. I think this could be a V-shaped recovery because even though the economy is about 50% larger than in 2008, the US government is printing out a lot of money right now, way more than 2008. And once we discover the vaccination or address this biological issue, there's nothing wrong with the structural economic issue. And there are more cash in our economy now. I think the economy will take off, because these people can get back to their jobs right away if the government can protect the SMEs just long enough so that we can discover the vaccines. Right? And if you see in Thailand right now, the SMEs are trying to stay survive by doing digital transformation, by bringing in tools to help them change their business model quickly to spot new consumption trends of customers, to cut cost, unnecessary costs in Thailand.
Yes, and Kun Jirayut, you just mentioned that you can see how many companies are trying to having new strategy to work online more. What about your company? I suppose that it's very high-tech company already. What have you adjusted in terms of working from home or the connection with your staff?
Sure. So with the arrival of this COVID crisis, you can see right away that companies with digital strategies are getting no effect compared to companies with zero digital strategy. For our company, we didn't get affected at all by this COVID crisis because our business model is fully digital. Or even the way we work, we deployed 30 different applications to make sure that our employees can work online. We have been using this for over 2 or 3 years now. We've been doing training for 2 or 3 years. So with this COVID crisis, we have been working from home for almost 3 months now, and we get no affected, zero, affected on. We didn't get any affected, impact on COVID in terms of operation or business model. So I think it is very important going forward for companies to have digital strategies. But in the short term, I think it is very important for governments to bail out, not at the banks level this time, but to make sure that SMEs who didn't do anything wrong, is just because of the shutdown, the company might already be very profitable, to survive, to make sure that our supply chain is not interrupted in the short term and people can get back to work. But I think post-COVID, it is the company's responsibility now to train the employees to have digital strategy at a company's level to adjust, to adapt to the new economy very quickly. Because in some other industry, it will change their industry forever. For example, right now people are getting used to ordering food delivery online. And if this crisis is prolonged more than 30 days, it will become the new habits of the consumers. And companies need to adjust to spot new consumption habits in order to survive. So they must have delivery or digital strategy to make sure that they can cope with the new economy post-COVID. I think Alibaba came to light after this SARS crisis. Back then, the e-commerce took off in China afterwards. So I think with this COVID crisis and this short-term shutdown events happening in Thailand, it will also change the consumption pattern of some of the industry. And I think it is very important that companies have digital strategy to make sure that they can cope with the new economy.
Yeah. Khun Jirayut, I think we all believe that what is happening is a wake-up call for everyone. And of course, everybody is starting to say that we cannot go back to the same old world again. And we have to thank digital technology for saving us during these days. But as far as the government is concerned, we know that the Prayut government has this Thailand 4.0 strategy. But what is happening now certainly has forced us to take another look at this strategy. What would be your advice to the government if they want to pursue this digital technology? Yeah.
Sure. I think the statistics is quite scary because the world is moving in an exponential manner. We're not moving in a linear manner anymore. And with the exponential, development, everything is moving super fast. If you look at the few statistics, solar panel, the cost of producing electricity through solar panel has gone down 250 times in the last 40 years. Or the wind power energy has gone down by 25 times in the last 40 years. Or even the phone that I'm using for this interview now has more computing power than back then when we used to send a man to the moon, right? And the average S&P 500 companies back then, before the internet century, during the industrial revolution era, was 75 years. That was the average lifespan of a company in the stock exchange. Currently, the average lifespan for S&P 500 companies is down to only 7%. Sorry, or only 7 years. 7 years. That's the average lifespan. The world is moving at a much faster rate right now, and about 97% of the CEOs around the world know that their industry is going to change forever. But only 3% has this digital transformation strategy for their company. But more than 54%, that's more than half of the existing companies, have no clue what to do, what to go forward, what to have, have zero digital strategy for their company. And this is very, dangerous because in the future, most of the GDP, all the, economic activities will be online. Thailand is a very small country. We have a population of about 70 million people, right? But if you look at this year, I think more than almost 5 billion people will get access to the internet. If the government has this digital strategy, we can, sell our services and goods and products to the rest of the world. That's, the market size would be much larger than 70 million people. Because everyone has internet access and mobile phone penetration is also very high. I think in Thailand, mobile phone penetration is around 144%, meaning that for every one Thai person, we have an average of 1.4 phones. We are a mobile-driven economy, and the internet access is great. I think the infrastructure is already, we are already in a much better position compared to Philippines or Indonesia in this region, but it is very important for the government to educate the workforce, because the skill sets is no longer relevant in this internet century versus the industrial revolution era. We need to change the way we work. We need to change the way we think to be able to cope with this exponential development world.
And Kun Jirayut, what's the advice do you like to have for young students, university students this year? Perhaps they must be quite frustrated to see the situation right now and must be wondering what the skill they should have to survive in this COVID-19 crisis and for their future employment. What's your recommendation?
Sure. Personally, I am very positive with the post-COVID economy, because this is not a structural economic issue like 2008. The economy was functioning well, but this is a biological or health issues, and followed by the shutdown, meaning that if the government got the policies right by making sure that most of the SMEs, small companies, can stay alive long enough until we discover vaccines or address this biological problem, the world can get back on its feet very quickly, right? And even though the economy is 50% larger than in 2008 crisis, the government is printing out way more money. I think Germany is, putting in almost 20% of their GDP to aid, to inject new capital into the economy. That's already double the size of the US economy. And I think Thailand is, if you look at the debt to GDP ratio for Thailand, we are not doing that bad compared to the US or the European countries. The debt to GDP ratio for Thailand is great. We are a very, healthy country. I think the government can borrow more money to make sure that, we can feed and make sure that SMEs, which is 90% of our economy, can survive long enough for the economy to get back on its feet. And the government is the shareholder of every companies in Thailand, because we're paying 20% tax. If we need their job is to make sure that companies can survive, so they can pay taxes, and we can then pay back our debt in a healthy manner. It is better to borrow money now. And with the new post-COVID, if we can make sure that these companies survive, and with the amount of money injected to our economy, I think it would be like a rocket ship. There'll be growth opportunities in everywhere, just like post 2008 crisis, but much more, because much more money is being injected compared to the last 10 years ago. I would advise the youngsters to make sure that you go into a sunrise industry. Don't go into a sunset industry. Make sure you learn new skills. With the arrival of 5G technology, like with the arrival of 5G data, it will unlock new wave of technology like blockchain, AI, big data, and it is very important that the youngsters learn new skills. because existing skills, there are a lot of people who know how to do those jobs well already. It is very better to open up new industries and learn new skill sets. But unfortunately, these skill sets cannot be taught at universities, because even the universities are lagging behind in terms of educating the workforce to train the workforce with relevant skill sets. So I think it is a lifelong learning process that everyone must continuously, learn and improve themselves. The internet is a great place to learn new skills and discover, new community, new opportunities. I think it's very important to learn new skills and to go for this sunrise industry, like blockchain, big data, peer-to-peer lending, IoT.
We certainly need a rethinking for the education system.
Yes, I think even the universities are getting disrupted. If you look in the last 5 years, I think more than 500 universities in the US was shut down because there are less students going to take courses right now. And with this COVID crisis, you can see that a lot of universities in Thailand are pushing out online courses, and the courses are getting shorter and shorter with more relevant skill sets for the workforce. So the universities are also adapting themselves to make sure that what they're teaching their students are relevant to the industry, to the workforce, and to catch up with the knowledge on the internet or on Google.
Okay, Kun Jirayut, thank you very much for sharing your thought and your view on the future after COVID-19. But right now, we all know that we need to get through this current crisis first. So please hang on, stay with us, because this is the end of Thai PBS World Tonight in English version. But we'll come back to talk in Thai.สวัสดีค่ะคุณผู้ชมอยู่กับไทย PBS World Tonight นะคะเราวิเคราะห์สถานการณ์และมองไปข้างหน้านะคะในขณะนี้ที่กำลังต่อสู้กับโควิด -19 แต่การเตรียมความพร้อมหลังจากนี้ไปก็สำคัญเช่นเดียวกันนะคะคุณเทพชัยและช่วงนี้คุณจิรายุทธทรัพย์ศรีโสภาผู้ร่วมก่อตั้งและประธานกรรมการบริหารบริษัท bitcup.com อยู่กับเราค่ะสวัสดีค่ะคุณจิรายุทธค่ะ
สวัสดีครับสวัสดีครับ
ยินดีต้อนรับนะครับผมคิดว่าคุณจิรายุทธคงเป็นคนที่ได้รับผลกระทบจากไอ้ชัตดาวน์ทั้งหมดเนี่ยน้อยที่สุดคนหนึ่งแหละผมว่านะเพราะทุกวันนี้ก็ทำงานผ่านทางออนไลน์ทั้งชีวิตก็ทำงานเกี่ยวกับเรื่องทางดิจิทัลมาตลอดแล้วใช่ไหมครับคงไม่มีผลมากเท่าไหร่ใช่ไหมครับชัตดาวน์เนี่ย
ใช่ครับบริษัทเรานี่แทบจะไม่กระทบเลยครับเราทำธุรกิจออนไลน์มาตั้งแต่เปิดบริษัทนะครับไม่ต้องเจอลูกค้า face to face หรือวิธีการทำงานของบริษัทเราเนี่ยก็เป็นดิจิทัลหมดแล้วเราใช้30กว่าแอปพลิเคชันนะครับให้พนักงานเราเนี่ยสามารถทำงานได้ดีมีประสิทธิภาพมากขึ้นแล้วก็ทำได้ออนไลน์เลยครับใช้ cloud based service ทั้งหมดเลย
จะทำให้งานมากขึ้นมีบทบาทมากขึ้นด้วยซ้ำไปผมว่าในภาวะแบบนี้นะครับคุณจิรยุทธ
ครับยิ่งพอเราใช้แอปพลิเคชันพวกนี้ครับความจริงมันลดต้นทุนนะครับความจริงเราไม่ได้จะเตรียมเพราะว่าเกิดเรารู้ล่วงหน้าว่าจะมีโควิดเกิดขึ้นไม่ใช่นะครับเราใช้แอปพลิเคชันพวกนี้เนี่ยเพื่อที่จะลดต้นทุนนะครับในการรันบริษัทเราสามารถใช้ resource เท่าเดิมเนี่ยแต่ output เนี่ยมหาศาลเลยนะครับบางฟังก์ชันในบริษัทในตอนพอเกิดโควิดเนี่ยหลายบริษัทจะรู้แล้วว่าความจริงบางตำแหน่งไม่ได้จำเป็นที่จะต้องมีในองค์กรด้วยซ้ำไปนะครับเราสามารถใช้เทคโนโลยีแทนได้อย่างบริษัทเราเนี่ยในการเอาเทคโนโลยีเข้ามาใช้เนี่ยเราสามารถใช้เก็บ resource เท่าเดิมเนี่ยแต่ output มหาศาลเราเพิ่ม productivity ได้มหาศาลนะครับแล้วเราก็มีเป็น data เก็บข้อมูลหมดทุกอย่างเพื่อที่จะเอาข้อมูลตรงนี้มาตัดสินใจได้ดีขึ้นนะครับเรามีเป็น digital strategy ขึ้นมามันจะต่างกับบริษัทอื่นตรงที่ว่าส่วนใหญ่ CEO ก็ต้องใช้ความรู้สึกส่วนตัวนะครับวันเสาร์อาทิตย์กลับไปบอกว่าวันจันทร์มา meeting อยากจะทำอย่างนี้เป็นใช้ intuition แต่บริษัทเราเนี่ยจะมีข้อมูลทุกอย่างแล้วเราจะใช้เป็น data driven decision making นะครับในการตัดสินใจให้ลดความผิดพลาดแล้วก็ตัดสินใจให้แม่นยำมากขึ้นพวกนี้เนี่ยครับมันต้องใช้พวก tools ต่างๆเนี่ยในการเข้ามาท ทั้งหมดเลยในการเปลี่ยนวิธีการทำงานของ workforce ทุกคนนะครับอย่างบริษัทส่วนใหญ่ตอนนี้ใช้แค่ Excel เป็น Microsoft Word เป็นใช่ไหมครับแต่เรานี่มีอีก30 กว่าแอปพลิเคชันนะครับที่ทำให้พนักงานทำงานดีขึ้นเหมือนกับทำไมเรา
หมายความว่าเหตุการณ์ที่เกิดขึ้นตอนนี้มันคงทำให้บริษัทอื่นๆทั่วๆไปเนี่ยต้องมาพิจารณาเรื่องยุทธศาสตร์ทางด้านดิจิทัลแล้วนะครับผมว่า
ครับเราเห็นได้ชัดเลยครับว่าบริษัทไหนที่ไม่มียุทธศาสตร์ทางด้านดิจิทัลเนี่ยกระทบหนักมากอย่างเรานี่ไม่กระทบเลยครับคือเราไปช่วยบริษัทอื่นด้วยซ้ำไปในการเริ่มให้ advice ว่าจะต้องปรับตัวกันยังไงเพื่อที่จะทำงานออนไลน์เนี่ยมีประสิทธิภาพนะครับความประสิทธิภาพไม่ลดนะครับงานได้เหมือนเดิมให้กระทบน้อยที่สุดนะครับเราทำมาประมาณ 2-3 ปีแล้วนะครับพนักงาน100 กว่าคนก็ทำงานกับบ้านมาที่บ้าน3 เดือนที่ผ่านมาก็บริษัทไม่ revenue ไม่ตกใช่ไหมครับ operation ไม่ตกทุกอย่างก็โตขึ้นตามปกติเลยครับไม่ได้ต่างกับช่วงก่อนโควิดมาเลยสำหรับบริษัทเราตอนนี้เราก็มีไปแชร์ความรู้ให้กับบริษัทต่างๆเพื่อที่จะให้ SME ที่เหลือเนี่ยพยายามปรับตัวกันให้ทันมากขึ้นนะครับ
บริษัทอื่นๆก็คงอยากจะปรับตัวได้เร็วและทันสถานการณ์เหมือนกับบริษัทของคุณจิรายุทธนะคะพอได้เข้าไปให้คำแนะนำเข้าไปดูสถานการณ์แล้วจะต้องปรับอย่างไรคะสำหรับบริษัทต่างๆที่น่าจะเป็นบริษัทส่วนใหญ่ที่คงจะยังไม่โกดิจิทัลเนี่ยค่ะคำแนะนำหรือว่าสิ่งที่เขาควรจะทำกันในช่วงเวลานี้เนี่ยคืออะไรคะ
ครับความจริงหลายๆบริษัทอยากจะเปลี่ยนแปลงอยู่แล้วนะครับแม้แต่ก่อนโควิดแต่ที่ติดคือระดับ top management นะครับซึ่งเราต้องอธิบายให้กับ top management ฟังก่อนว่ามันสำคัญยังไงในการที่จะต้อง disrupt ตัวเองปรับเปลี่ยนตัวเองก่อนที่จะให้คนอื่นมาบังคับให้เราเปลี่ยนแต่โควิดเนี่ยเป็นเหมือนยาเร่งเป็น catalyst ให้เปลี่ยน mindset ของผู้บริหารต่างๆตอนนี้เนี่ยการยอมรับของ digital transformation เนี่ยมากขึ้นเยอะเลยพอเห็นไหมครับบางบริษัทที่บอกว่าอยากจะขึ้นคลาวด์ต้องนานแล้วคุยมา 2-3 ปีก็ไม่ขึ้นสักทีพอเกิดโควิดปุ๊บขึ้นคลาวด์เลยหรือการสอนออนไลน์นี่ครับคุยมาหลายปีพอเกิดโควิดปุ๊บตอนนี้มีคอร์สออนไลน์ออกมาเตรียมพร้อมให้เด็กเรียนก่อนที่ช่วงที่จะเปิดเรียนกันนะครับมันเป็นสถานการณ์ที่ยิ่งช่วยให้ผู้บริหารเนี่ยเปลี่ยน mindset ที่สำคัญที่สุดเลยคือการเปลี่ยน mindset ผู้บริหารระดับข้างบนถ้า top management buy แล้วเนี่ยว่าเราเปลี่ยนไปเพื่ออะไรเนี่ยมันจะง่ายขึ้นในที่เหลือขององค์กรในการเข้าไปimplement solution ต่างๆนะครับแต่ความจริงถ้าจะเปลี่ยนแบบยั่งยืนเนี่ยเราต้องทำ design thinking ระดับมันจะแบ่งเป็น3 level ครับ level แรกเนี่ยคือระดับ top C level ทั้งหมดเลยผู้บริหารสูงสุดขององค์กรเราต้องเข้าไปทำ design thinking ว่าบริษัทเราเปิดขึ้นมาเพื่ออะไรนะครับ mission vision ขององค์กรคืออะไรวัฒนธรรมขององค์กรควรจะเป็นอะไรพอเราทำ design thinking ปุ๊บเราจะรู้ความจริงเลยว่าแม้แต่ C level เองเนี่ยยังตกลงกันไม่ได้เลยยังเห็นไม่ตรงกันเลยว่าบริษัทเปิดขึ้นมาเพื่ออะไรกันแน่นะครับพอเรารู้ปุ๊บเรามี core value ที่ชัดเจนแล้วเนี่ยหรือมีวัฒนธรรมในองค์กรที่ชัดเจนแล้วเนี่ยเราค่อยมาพูดกับ management middle management นะครับการมีวัฒนธรรมในองค์กรเนี่ยมันเป็นสิ่งที่สำคัญมากนะครับที่บริษัทจะประสบความสำเร็จหรือล้มเหลวบริษัทที่ขายไอติมก็ควรจะมีวัฒนธรรมองค์กรอย่างหนึ่งถึงจะประสบสำเร็จบริษัทที่เปิดเป็นสถาบันการเงินก็ต้องมีวัฒนธรรมองค์กรอีกอย่างหนึ่งเพราะฉะนั้นมันต้องคุยจากข้างบนลงมาพอเรามี core value ที่ชัดเจนมีวัฒนธรรมองค์กรที่ชัดเจนเนี่ยเราก็มาทำtraining ระดับ management middle management ว่านี่คือวิธีการทำงานแบบใหม่ต้องมีสิ่งที่เรียกว่า Scrum methodology นะครับ show and tell คืออะไรหรือ application ต่างๆเนี่ยในการเก็บ data นะครับ data centric data driven decision making คืออะไรนะครับเพื่อที่จะเอา tools พวกนี้มาให้มันสอดคล้องกับ digital strategy ที่เป็น roadmap ที่ทาง top management เนี่ยต้องการนะครับส่วนระดับ operation ล่างสุดเนี่ยเราก็ต้องทำ training ครับว่าแอปต่างๆที่เราใช้มาให้มันสอดคล้องกับ business model อันใหม่เนี่ยมันใช้ยังไงนะครับทุกๆคนที่อยู่ในระดับ operation ก็ต้องใช้เป็นเพราะฉะนั้นมันจะแบ่งเป็น3 layer เวลาเปลี่ยนแปลง organization และที่สำคัญที่สุดเลยครับมันต้องมีสิ่งที่เรียกว่า change agent ถ้าไม่มี change agent เนี่ยเราอาจจะคุยสักวัน2 วันก็แฮปปี้ไปสักวัน2 วันแล้วก็ลืมนะครับมันไม่ได้เป็นการเปลี่ยนแปลงแบบที่ยั่งยืนต้องมีเป็น change agent ขึ้นมาเลยแล้วก็คนนี้เนี่ยหรือทีมนี้คือรับผิดชอบในการทำ digital transformation ทั้งองค์กรที่ยั่งยืนคอย push ตลอดมันมีการเกิดการเปลี่ยนแปลงจริงๆนะครับซึ่งสังเกตว่าตอนนี้หลายบริษัทเนี่ยยอมที่จะเอาประมาณ 1% หรือ 5% ของกำไรของเขาที่เขาได้ทุกปีเนี่ยมาทำเป็น digital transformation unit นะครับมาที่จะ disrupt ตัวเองก่อนที่จะให้คนอื่นมา disrupt เขา นะครับจะมีเป็น Research and Development Center มากขึ้นหรือจะ spin off เป็นบริษัทลูกเพื่อที่จะคิด business model ใหม่ๆนะครับหา new S curve ใหม่ๆซึ่งอันนี้มันสำคัญมากนะครับยิ่งบริษัทคุณใหญ่เท่าไหร่เนี่ยจำนวนการล้มเหลวหรือ metrics ของการล้มเหลวมันต้องมากขึ้นเพราะว่าทุกการทดลองมันต้องมีการล้มเหลวควบคู่ไปด้วยยิ่งบริษัทคุณใหญ่เท่าไหร่ถ้า metrics ของการล้มเหลวเยอะขึ้นเนี่ยแปลว่าบริษัทคุณเนี่ยไม่กลัวที่จะล้มเหลวแล้วกล้าที่จะทดลองอะไรใหม่ๆตลอดเวลาเพราะฉะนั้นอีกหนึ่ง metrics ที่ CEO ต้องวัดเนี่ยคือจำนวนของ fail experiment หรือการล้มเหลวนะครับยิ่งมีเยอะยิ่งบริษัทคุณยิ่งใหญ่เท่าไหร่จำนวนของ fail experiment ต้องยิ่งเยอะเพราะว่าแปลว่าในองค์กรคุณเนี่ยทดลองหา new S curve หลายอย่างซึ่งถ้าเราเจอ S curve ตัวหนึ่งเนี่ยมันสามารถที่จะแทนสิ่งที่มันล้มเหลวได้ทั้งหมดเลยนะครับเพราะว่า S curve มัน return มันมหาศาลอยู่แล้วนะครับอันนี้ก็จะเห็นได้ชัดว่าตอนนี้เนี่ยหลายๆบริษัทเริ่มที่จะยอมรับนะครับไอเดียนี้มากขึ้นเรื่อยๆนะครับแล้วหรือร้านอาหารเนี่ยสังเกตได้ชัดเลยเมื่อก่อนคนที่ทำอาหารเก่งอย่างเดียวเนี่ยไม่ต้องง้อใครไม่ว่าจะเป็นเจ๊ไฝผัดไทยประตูผีลูกค้ามาต่อคิวไม่เคยต้องง้อลูกค้าแต่พอเกิดโควิดปุ๊บบริษัทที่มี digital strategy เท่านั้นที่รอดถูกไหมครับส่ง delivery ให้กับลูกค้าเองนะครับ cloud kitchen นะครับอันนี้เป็นเทรนด์ใหม่ทั้งหมดเลยที่จะมา disrupt วงการร้านอาหารมันไม่ใช่แค่ฝีมือทำอาหารอร่อยอย่างเดียวแล้วนะครับโลกมันเปลี่ยนไปอย่างรวดเร็วมากเพราะฉะนั้นในฐานะของ management หรือ top C level CEO เนี่ยก็ต้องมี mindset ที่เปิดและกล้าที่จะทดลองสิ่งใหม่ๆนะครับถึงจะอยู่รอดนะครับ
ครับความเปลี่ยนแปลงที่คุณจยุทธพูดถึงเนี่ยมันจะเกิดขึ้นได้ส่วนหนึ่งแรงผลักจากระดับนโยบายก็คือผู้บริหารประเทศก็สำคัญมากนะครับเพราะฉะนั้นเหตุการณ์ที่เกิดขึ้นครั้งนี้เนี่ยทุกคนก็เชื่อว่ามันจะเปลี่ยนแปลงโลกไปอย่างมากเลยและคำว่าเปลี่ยนแปลงนี่มันคงไม่ใช่หมายถึงภาคธุรกิจแต่เพียงอย่างเดียวมันหมายถึงภาคของการบริหารประเทศก็คือรัฐบาลทางด้านการเมืองด้วยนะครับเพราะฉะนั้นคุณจยุทธมีข้อเสนอแนะยังไงบ้างครับให้กับคนที่บริหารประเทศว่าใช้โอกาสที่เกิดขึ้นจากธุรกิจครั้งนี้แหละในการที่จะวางทิศทางการบริหารประเทศชาติโดยเฉพาะในส่วนที่เกี่ยวข้องกับดิจิทัลเทคโนโลยีเนี่ยเพื่อนำประเทศไทยไปสู่จุดที่มันควรจะเป็นเนี่ยคำแนะนำของคุณจยุทธต่อผู้ที่มีอำนาจในการกำหนดนโยบายนี้จะเป็นยังไง
ครับผมว่าตัวอย่างที่เป็นประเทศที่ตัวอย่างที่ดีมากเลยคือประเทศเอสโตเนียนะครับเขามีสิ่งที่เรียกว่า e-government เรียบร้อยแล้วนะครับคนสามารถไปเปิดบริษัทออนไลน์ได้เลยโดยที่ไม่ต้องออกจากบ้านนะครับหรือจะทุกวันนี้เราจะสมัครไปเป็นประชาชนของเอสโตเนียก็ได้นะครับผ่านเว็บไซต์ออนไลน์ได้เลยเราเรียกว่า e-government นะครับสังเกตว่าช่วงโควิดเนี่ยหน่วยงานรัฐบาลยังต้องไปออฟฟิศอยู่เพราะว่ายังต้องไปเจอกัน face to face หน้าตัวต่อตัวก่อนถึงจะทำธุรกรรมอะไรได้หรือทุกอย่างก็จะเป็นเปเปอร์เป็นกระดาษนะครับกระดาษเต็มไปหมดเลยครับต้องเซ็นที7 ครั้งกว่าจะทำอะไรได้อนุมัติอะไรได้1 ครั้งซึ่งถ้าเราทำ digital transformation เนี่ยใช่ไหมครับเราจะมีเป็น e-government ลองคิดภาพว่าเศรษฐกิจเราจะขยับเลื่อนไปได้กี่เท่าครับถ้ามันหมุนเร็วขึ้นการเปิดบริษัทง่ายขึ้นนะครับเร็วขึ้นการสมัครเป็นประชาชนเร็วขึ้นเก็บภาษีได้เยอะขึ้นทุกอย่างมันเป็น paperless ไม่ต้องใช้กระดาษแล้ว velocity ของ activity มันจะเร็วขึ้นทำให้ GDP เนี่ยมันยิ่งโตหลายเท่าเลยนะครับเพราะฉะนั้นมันก็สำคัญมากที่ไม่ใช่แค่ภาคเอกชนที่ต้องเปลี่ยนแต่ในเมื่อโลกมันเปลี่ยนครับโลกมันเปลี่ยน 100% ทุกวันที่เราตื่นขึ้นมาโลกมันเปลี่ยนแน่นอนนะครับไม่ว่าคุณจะชอบหรือไม่ชอบเพราะฉะนั้นไม่ว่าคุณจะเป็นใครไม่ว่าจะเป็นรัฐบาลหรือเป็นเอกชนนะครับหรือภาครัฐทุกคนต้องเปลี่ยนครับให้มันทันกับโลกถ้าไม่เปลี่ยนคือคุณหยุดเปลี่ยน 0% ในขณะที่โลกเปลี่ยน 100% เนี่ยอันนี้มันเฟลแน่นอนมันล้มเหลวแน่นอนนะครับมันสำคัญมากโดยเฉพาะเรื่องของกฎหมายเหมือนกันครับไม่ใช่แค่เปลี่ยนวิธีการอย่างเดียวนะครับกฎหมายเนี่ยก็ส่วนใหญ่จะเป็นอุปสรรคเปลี่ยนไม่ทันกับโลกหรือตามเทคโนโลยีไม่ทันนะครับซึ่งอย่างกฎหมายเรื่องของยกตัวอย่างความจริงมีหลายอย่างมากเลยนะครับอาจจะยกตัวอย่างกฎหมาย work permit นะครับทุกวันนี้เนี่ยแต่ละประเทศแย่งแรงงานที่แบบฉลาดเก่งๆมีความสามารถพิเศษเข้าประเทศของตัวเองถูกไหมครับสหรัฐให้ green card แต่ประเทศไทยเนี่ยยังมีกฎหมายเดิมที่ต้องพนักงานต่างชาติต้องมีทุนจดทะเบียน2 ล้านบาทขึ้นไปแล้วก็ต้องจ้างคนไทย4:1ใช่ไหมครับซึ่งมันเป็น barrier to entry ครับมันทำให้เราจ้างพนักงานที่เก่งๆจากต่างประเทศได้ยากมากแล้วมันก็จะไม่มีสิ่งที่เรียกว่า spill over technology นะครับเราไม่สามารถเรียนรู้กับเขาได้เลยเพราะว่าเขาไม่ได้เข้ามาเมืองไทยไม่ได้เราจ้างงานยากมากๆเลยต้องทุนจดทะเบียน2 ล้านขึ้นไปแล้วต้องหาคนไทยมา4 คนนะครับแทนที่จะให้คนเก่งๆเข้ามาช่วยกันผลักดันให้ GDP ของประเทศไทยให้บริษัทที่เป็น made of Thailand เนี่ย made in Thailand โตขึ้นมามากขึ้นเรื่อยๆอย่างประเทศจีนเนี่ยที่เขาโตเร็วอย่างหนึ่งนะครับคือเขา รับเอาซอร์สหมดทุกอย่างไปผลิตที่จีนตลอดแต่สิ่งที่เขาได้คือสิ่งที่เรียกว่า spill over knowledge หรือ spill over technology เขาไม่ได้รับแค่ผลิตอย่างเดียวแต่เขาได้ know how ด้วยจากต่างประเทศจากคนเก่งๆที่มาจ้างเขาผลิตนะครับถ้าเมืองไทยเปิด channel ให้ talent เข้ามาเยอะขึ้นเนี่ยคนไทยที่ปรับตัวไม่ทันจะมีพนักงานไทยที่ปรับตัวไม่ทันเนี่ยก็จะเรียนรู้กับคนเก่งๆที่เราดึงเข้ามาในประเทศนะครับแล้วเราก็จะมีเป็น spill over knowledge นะครับหรือเทคโนโลยีให้เราเนี่ยสามารถสร้างบริษัทที่มันเป็น new S curve ที่มี impact ต่อ GDP ของประเทศได้เยอะมากๆนะครับเพราะฉะนั้นมันต้องเปลี่ยนแปลงทางด้านของกฎหมายให้มันตรงกับยุค Internet Century กฎหมายอยู่ในยุค Industrial Revolution อยู่เลยนะครับหรือกฎหมายความหมายคำว่าเงินเนี่ยครับถูกเปลี่ยนครั้งที่แล้วคือ75 ปีที่แล้ว2475เนี่ยครับทั้งที่ตอนนี้มันมี Digital Currency มีแต่ละแบงก์ชาติทั่วโลกกำลังสร้าง Central Bank Digital Currency ของตัวเองอยู่แล้ว Libra Digital Yuan ล่าสุด Digital Yuan ของประเทศจีนออกมาแล้วนะครับทดลองใช้ใน4มณฑลหลักของประเทศจีนประเทศอื่นเนี่ยเขาไปเร็วมากของการแก้ไขกฎหมายนะครับบ้านเราเนี่ยก็ต้องช่วยกันพัฒนากฎหมายให้ทันกับยุคปัจจุบันที่เรียกว่า Internet Century หรือวิธีการทำงานไม่ว่าจะเป็นทางภาครัฐบาลหรือภาคเอกชนเนี่ยก็ต้องทำสิ่งที่เรียกว่า digitalization หรือ digital transformation ทีละสเต็ปนะครับตั้งแต่กระดาษลดการใช้กระดาษเก็บข้อมูลเปลี่ยนวิธีการทำงานนะครับทุกฟังก์ชันของประเทศเราที่จะให้เข้าสู่ยุคคือโลกใหม่นะครับที่เรียกว่า Internet Century จริงๆนะครับ
โอกาสรออยู่นะคะจากวิกฤตที่เกิดขึ้นและเป็นเสมือนตัวเร่งว่าจะต้องปรับตัวกันแล้วเพราะว่าจากท่าทีที่เรารอกันก่อนหน้านี้ตอนนี้พอเป็นโควิดเข้ามาบังคับให้ทุกๆองค์กรหรือว่าในระดับประเทศก็ต้องปรับตัวเข้าสู่ออนไลน์หรือว่ามียุทธศาสตร์ในเชิงดิจิทัลให้ชัดเจนมากขึ้นนะคะเสียดายว่าวันนี้เวลาเราหมดแล้วนะคะคุณจิรายุทธแต่ก็ได้รับฟังมุมมองและการประเมินสถานการณ์ของคุณจิรายุทธทรัพย์ศรีโสภานะคะที่มาร่วมรายการไทย PBS World Tonight ทั้งภาษาอังกฤษและภาษาไทยค่ะและขอบคุณคุณจิรายุทธมากนะคะที่มาร่วมรายการกันค่ะในช่วงนี้ค่ะขอบคุณค่ะในช่วงนี้ลาไปเลยนะคะคุณเทพชัยยองคุณจิรายุทธทรัพย์ศรีโสภาและดิฉันณัฐฐา โกมลวาทินลาไปแล้วค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับ